You walk into an elevator. The doors close. For 4 seconds, there is nothing to do and nothing to hear. Your hand is already moving towards your pocket. You don't decide to check your phone. Your hand just goes. Why does 4 seconds of silence feel unbearable? The obvious answer is boredom. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain isn't bored in silence. It's working. It's scanning. It's doing the same job it did for 200,000 years on the open grassland. And it has not gotten the memo that the grassland is gone. Think about what silence actually meant for most of human history. Not peace, not calm. Silence meant the birds had stopped singing. Silence meant something was nearby that the birds were afraid of. A quiet forest was not a safe forest. A quiet forest was a forest holding its breath. Your ancestors who relaxed in silence didn't get to have descendants. The ones who survived were the ones whose attention sharpened the moment the noise dropped out. That sharpening didn't go away just because you now experience silence in an elevator instead of a savanna. It just lost its target. The alarm still rings. There's just no fire. Psychologists have a name for what your mind does the instant it runs out of external input. It defaults. In 2010, Harvard researchers Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert tracked thousands of people throughout their days and found something uncomfortable. People's minds wandered nearly half the time they were awake. And when minds wandered, people reported feeling less happy, almost no matter what they were wandering toward. Your brain doesn't drift into silence and find peace there. It drifts into silence and finds itself. That's the part nobody warns you about. Silence doesn't empty your head. It reveals what was already inside it. In 2014, a researcher named Timothy Wilson ran an experiment that sounds almost too strange to be real. He asked people to sit alone in a bare room for 15 minutes with nothing to do but think. No phone, no book, just a chair and their own mind. Most people hated it. Some hated it so much that when given the option, they chose to give themselves a mild electric shock rather than sit there in silence with nothing but their thoughts. Not because the shock felt good, because doing something, anything, felt better than doing nothing at all. Sit with that for a second. People chose pain over stillness. What does that tell you about how loud your inner world actually is? The moment you stop drowning it out? Here's where the story gets stranger still. Your brain in silence isn't actually doing nothing. Neuroscientists call this the default mode network, and it switches on the instant your attention isn't pinned to a task. It's the part of you that replays old conversations, rehearses tomorrow's, worries about money, wonders if that text came across wrong. It's not random noise, it's simulation. Your brain uses quiet moments to run mental rehearsals of threats, both real and imagined, the same way it once used quiet moments on the savannah to listen for the threat it couldn't yet see. This made sense once. A human alone in stillness, scanning the tree line, replaying the day, anticipating tomorrow's hunt, was doing useful work. Today, you're not scanning a tree line. You're scanning your inbox, your relationships, your reputation, your bank account. Same circuitry, different predator. The predator just doesn't have teeth anymore. It has a due date. So when silence falls, that machinery doesn't switch off. It switches inward. And what it usually finds isn't peace. It's whatever you haven't dealt with yet. This is why the phone is so seductive in exactly those quiet 4 seconds. It's not really about entertainment. Reaching for a screen in a silent elevator is a flight response. You're not bored. You're avoiding contact with your own unresolved thoughts, and your phone is the fastest exit available. Every notification is a tiny external alarm that lets your attention point outward instead of inward. Outward is easier. Outward doesn't ask you anything. There's a deeper layer to this, and it has to do with how human brains evolved in groups, not alone. For almost the entirety of human history, you were rarely silent and rarely solitary at the same time. You slept near others, you ate near others. Even your private thoughts happened inside a body that was almost never truly isolated from the sound, smell, and presence of other people. Anthropologist Sarah Blaffer Hrdy has argued that human infants and human minds were shaped by something she calls cooperative breeding, a constant web of caregivers and group presence that human psychology still quietly expects. Solitary silence, real silence, with no one nearby and nothing to listen for, is one of the most unnatural conditions a human brain can be placed in. You were built for a world that was almost never this quiet. So when you sit alone in a silent room today, some old, deep layer of your nervous system isn't just unoccupied, it's slightly alarmed. Where did everyone go? Why is it this quiet? What am I missing? That tension, that low hum of unease, is what most people mistake for boredom. But boredom is supposed to feel light. This feels heavier than that. It feels like waiting for something you can't name. And maybe that's the real reason silence is so hard to sit in. It's not that nothing is happening. It's that everything you've been outrunning all day finally has room to catch up to you. Here's the twist most people never consider. The discomfort you feel in silence is not a malfunction. It is not proof that something is wrong with you. It is a 400,000-year-old detection system, still fully operational, still doing exactly what it was built to do. It is built to notice when something has changed. Silence is a change. Your brain is simply doing its job a little too well in a world that no longer matches the one it was trained for. Some researchers studying meditation have found something that complicates this story in an encouraging way. Long-term meditators, people who deliberately sit in silence again and again, show measurable changes in how that default mode network behaves. The mental rehearsal loop doesn't disappear, but it loosens its grip. Silence stops feeling like an ambush and starts feeling like an open room. It's not that the noise inside ever fully stops, it's that you stop flinching from it. That single fact reframes everything. You were never broken for fearing silence. Your ancestors needed you wired exactly this way to survive long enough to have you. But the threat that wiring was built for is gone, and what's left in its place is just you, alone with your own mind, mistaking old alarm bells for present danger. The next time the room goes quiet, before your hand drifts towards your pocket, try staying. Not because silence is peaceful. It might not feel peaceful at all, not at first. It might feel like static, like waiting, like exposure. But that feeling has a history longer than you do, and it was never actually about the silence. It was about everything the silence gives you no choice but to finally hear. You walk into an elevator, the doors close. For 4 seconds, there is nothing to do and nothing to hear. This time, your hand stays in your pocket. And for the first time today, you let the silence speak first. If this video taught you something new, please consider supporting the channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who'd enjoy it too. Every bit of support helps this small channel keep creating thoughtful videos like this. Thanks for watching.